Hello, welcome to the Pint podcast, where our is pish, but our pints aren't. To introduce ourselves, I'm Caden, and I am joined by my co-host, Dino.
Hi, hello. Another episode and another tinny. We are on episode 13 today. We're recording this on a Sunday after just getting back from the pub quiz.
Okay.
And normally the pub quiz is like quite later on. It's about 7 it normally starts, but because of the new rules that are being put in place, it's that was at 4. So we're recording this later than usual, but alas, we move on.
Yeah. That brings us with our main topic this evening is guilty pleasures. So, a definition I didn't realize the definition until I actually started looking into it, but it's more so like something you have pleasure doing, obviously, in its name, but not so much that it's shunned by others. It can be, but it's a pleasure you have that you yourself actually have guilt for having it, whether or not it's the norm or whatever. It's something you enjoy that you don't feel good doing, but you like it. Sort of thing. Innate guilt. But to start off with, it's always felt weird because I didn't really get into this condiment until like recently, like maybe like a few years ago, is having mayonnaise on things that I don't really see other people have mayonnaise on. So like I would have like a mayonnaise crisp sandwich or a bacon bap, which is a bacon roll with mayonnaise on it or something. And I don't know whether that's like socially accepted or not, or even like if I'm allowed to like it. But I like it, but there's something I feel that's not right about it. Like I feel guilty for having mayonnaise on said foods. I used to think having crisp sandwich to begin with was a bit weird, but I find out quite a few Scots have like their crisp sandwiches.
Crisp butties.
Always like them. But yeah, I always feel like weird because like mayonnaise is always more like a sandwich, like for like if you have ham and cheese, or you maybe put it in like a salad or something.
We like bit of mayo.
I first had like mayonnaise with bacon back during a Belgium, and I was like absolutely hanging, going up to my ma's tent. They were cooking off bacon and that, but they had a few bits of cold bacon, and they gave me a roll. I'm like, you know what? Pass that mayonnaise. And you're like, are you sure? I'm eating it, and I had like 2 of them. I'm like, I'm away now. I've been nourished. I found this new combination.
Oh. I think mayonnaise has gotten a lot more popular over this like past while, and like for me, I used to always have like barbecue sauce and stuff. But there was a phase where I would just put mayo on a lot of stuff. Like I discovered it essentially, and I was like, "Wow!"
I think one of the first times I seen you have it was at Belgium as well. With what was it, mayo and pasta?
Yes, yeah. Have some pasta and chuck some mayo. It's good stuff.
Even then, I was like, "What?" But now I'm like, "Oh."
I don't have mayo as often as I used to, but it's still good. Still a solid condiment choice.
I have more condiment. Give mustard another try. Dijon mustard or whatever. Apparently, it's like more mild. Maybe I'll give that a try.
You know, some people actually they mix mayo and mustard together.
I mix mayo and ketchup together.
Aye. You get like certain brands that will actually put it together like in a bottle for you. Which is it's actually not bad. It sounds worse than it actually is.
Yeah.
But I get that.
How about yourself? What about one for you?
I think my first guilty pleasures is music. I'm gonna say music, and I feel like everyone's gonna have certain songs and certain like artists that for them is a guilty pleasure, and it's obviously subjective depending on what you listen to. But most of the time, I don't like a lot of stuff that comes out in the radio and that. So that like there was a point where in work, the radio was always on, so I would hear it, and every now and again there's like the odd song that appear, and I'm like, do I actually like this? Why do I actually like this? And then I fucking end up adding it onto my Spotify, and I've actually got a playlist at the moment which is titled "Forgive Me," which is just filled with all my guilty pleasures. So there's stuff in here that like Drake, Hotline Bling, There's a couple of meme songs as well. So My Boo by Ghost Town DJs. I can't remember what the meme was. It was like a dance thing.
What's the tune to
it? It goes like last night, something like that. But one of those Beyonce I've got in here. Rick Astley, the legend. Some of them I feel more guilty than others. So I've got Ultimate by Denzel Curry, which I don't feel too guilty on, but that's a banger. There's plenty that come and go, and every now and again I'm just like, why do I like this? Why? But I just respect good music, I guess, when I hear it.
Aye.
Sometimes it's just the right sort of catchiness that just grabs you.
That's pretty much my entire music taste, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you'll get my Fruity Tooty fucking playlist, which is named that because it's just completely out of the ballpark in terms of, like, it's not supposed to be serious. Like, I've got like 100 odd songs in there just simply because I heard it once and I'm like, that's sick. And people are like, what? It's like, I think music's not one that I'm like, that's I have a guilty pleasure song. I don't really. I just, my music taste is just that fucking weird.
It is interesting to see what people have as a guilty pleasure for music-wise.
I suppose mine would be rap, if you were to see me with a rap song on my playlist, because I don't really like rap.
Oh, yeah.
Saying that, most Gorillaz songs has rap in it. Saying most,
Yeah,
a
they
lot
do.
of them.
They do have rap verses.
I tend to just forget the rapping and just listen to the instrumental parts.
Even the new Gorillaz song with Elton John has the rapper in it, Black.
Six Lack.
Six Lack, yeah. Which I actually quite rate in the song. There's a lot of fans that are kind of divided. They're not sure. But yeah, it's good stuff. But so what's your next guilty pleasure then?
So mine is I don't showcase it too much now, but I've done it with something recently, is finishing shows or things I read like manga way too fucking quickly, like within a week or less. When most people would probably maybe take like a month or two or three, depending on how they watch things. But back in the day, I'd pick up like a new series, like a TV series I really like. So like I remember picking up Archer. I had like 5 seasons of it that I had to watch, and I finished it in like 3 days, whereas most other people might take a few weeks. I've got a lot of manga I read. So like recently, very recently, recommended to me by a friend to read if I didn't want to wait for the anime, was Demon Slayer, and I think the 205 chapters it has, I finished in 2.5 days. And I just completely binged it. And I'm really bad for, especially like reading things, I'm really bad for finishing quickly. But I sort of slowed down now. I'm currently watching a few shows, and I maybe like watch an episode or two from each show like per day, instead of just like binge watching it. But I feel guilty doing it. I feel really guilty just blasting a show because I'm like, well, it's done and over with. Like, fuck.
I know what you mean.
But that comes into my habit of constantly rewatching shows again in those same time spans. Like Trailer Park Boys, I've watched that many a time and I finish it quick as fuck as well. But I've sort of like tried to settle down a bit. Saying that though, if I pick up another series to read, I most likely will binge read that. But that's my second guilty pleasure.
I can't actually think of a show that I've like absolutely blasted really fast. Most of the time, I do kind of take my time and maybe I'll watch like a couple episodes a day, and then I'll go and do other stuff. At least recently, anyway. I think back in the day, I must have blasted Breaking Bad. I think I went through quite quickly.
Ironically, it's the one I didn't. I took my time with.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, like, I watched the first, like, 4 episodes of the show, and it took me 3 months to fucking go back to it.
Oof.
Aye.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I know you
like
watched Supernatural quite quickly.
Yeah, I have done. Although it doesn't feel as quick with those because they last it lasts a while because they're longer episodes and tons of seasons. But
Thinking
I don't
about
think
it,
any of them have been like rapid.
thinking about it, like one of the series I have reread a few times is One Piece. So that's got like 900 odd chapters that I'd need to slog through quickly, which I did. I think when I actually get like the physical editions for these like volumes and stuff, I might take a little longer to read it because I've actually got the physical thing to read through. Maybe I'll like appreciate the paneling better. Shit.
Oh, I'll tell you actually. You know the show Lucifer?
Mhm.
I finished both. Is it season 4 and 5? I think are the ones that are on Netflix. The 2 seasons that got added to Netflix, I watched them like the whole season in one sitting.
Mhm.
Literally just one sitting. I've completely forgot about that, man. It's really good doing it like that in a way, but at the same time, it does come with its
That's the thing with today's media
downsides.
is people need things to come out as a whole season immediately. They hate waiting week by week, which I've seen with like Prime, The Boys.
Oh,
I haven't watched that. I think that's been going week by week. But aye, what's your second one?
Well, my second one is actually buying shots on a night out. No.
What?
Yeah. Oh man, I feel guilty buying shots because uh, all the time there's like you've got your limit, right, of how much that you can have before you get absolutely ruined
Yes.
and you have a bad time the next morning. And most of the time shots are the thing that like puts you over. Because if you're having shots as well as having like spirits or pints, depending on what you're fancying that night. It does. You feel fine. Like on the night out, you're like, yeah, I can do these. Oh, no bother.
Your body's just completely different.
But,
Doesn't signal your fucking body correctly when you're drunk.
but it's, I don't just feel guilty for that, but feel kind of guilty because some places they're quite dear, you know. Like some places are like maybe £2.50 or something for one shot, and it's like fucking hell.
I mind one place I went because it was a special event. I went to go buy a couple of people shots, and I asked for a few, and they're like, "Oh, that's £3 per shot," and I'm like, "Oh, oh my!
Aye.
I'll just buy 3 eye.
Just the 3 will do.
Just as 3 eye."
So yeah, I do kind of feel guilty for that, but at the same time, tanning them on a night out, it does give you a good buzz. I do feel good about it.
A nice
in a way.
tequila rosé eye.
Oh, aye. There is certain shots that I just can't do. You know.
Oh no.
Fucking Jaeger bombs. I used to be able to do, but then I had one night where I just tanned too many. So anytime I get the flavor of it, I'm just like,
I don't. It's very herbal. It's weird.
Fucking, I hate tequila, like actual tequila, man. It's rotten.
I think the last time I actually got proper sozzle just on shots was my 18th. And it was, I think it was just like, I had like 6 shots in a row before I even got back to my drink. It's like, oh,
Oh,
here's
oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
baby Guinness. There's your baby Guinness. Have that. I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Oh, baby
Here's
Guinness
a
is amazing.
tequila. Here's a lime. Here's a salt. I'm like, okay. Oh, here's this shot. Here's a vodka shot. I'm like,
We just lined them all up.
brother, please. So he's like, oh, I'm getting you fucked tonight,
Everything
boy.
available.
Like, I don't think I've ever had a night after that where I really had shots a lot. I mean, there's a few times like Weatherspoons, but
Mm-hmm.
like this probably because it's the cheapest place to really get shots.
Mm-hmm.
But no, other
Yeah,
than
yeah,
that,
Spoons.
I'll just get a shot given to me, or if it's like a birthday or something, I'll buy a round of shots.
Yeah, there's the odd occasion that I just get that. I get that head on. And I'm like, I'm ready. I'm absolutely buzzing to drink. And I just come back to the table with a fucking tray of shots, and everyone's like, "Oh no!" It's funny, but yeah,
It's funny.
that's definitely a guilty pleasure for me.
Aye. My third one is one. Oh, it's a weird one. They're hot tubs. So my reasoning for me being guilty about being in hot tubs is one. I always prefer cold places and temperatures. I don't like heat. I don't like hotness. Example being, I hate steam rooms and saunas. I absolutely hate them. But every time I go into the hot tub at the place I go to, I'll get in. I'm like, oh, it's hot, and I'm starting to enjoy it as I get used to the heat. I'm like, I shouldn't be enjoying this. I've always declared my hate of heat, but I'm just like, it's so good because the bubbles. Like, oh, hot tubs are really good. So jacuzzi, I can't mind. Either way, hot and bubbles feel good.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I should be enjoying it, just due to my like natural grievances against heat. But aye, it's a simple
Do you
one.
know what? I don't actually think I've been in one, to be honest.
Aye.
No, I don't think I have.
To be
I'll
fair,
need to.
I didn't really even go in one until I got my gym membership.
Oh yeah.
So there's that, which is probably why I'm like, what the fuck? Why am I enjoying
Aye.
this? This is a
I'm
recent
I'm
thing.
not much a person for swimming anyway.
Mhm.
So there's not a lot of times that you would catch me in a pool. But jacuzzi is quite. You're just relaxing. Cheeky hot tub.
What about you?
Well, for my next one, let me have a quick look. My next one, it's my last one actually. And it's putting bets on. That's an absolute guilty pleasure. Just generally gambling, I think. And most of the actual guilty part just comes from like you're spending money, that you could easily lose, and most of the time you end up losing. And most people who do indulge in betting will be much the same. The majority of their bets will be like a loss, but you can make some money if you put on like small stuff. But it's not the wisest thing, but it's certainly entertaining. It gives you just a bit of a buzz when you put it on, because you have all the time with, for example, most of the bets I put on is like football stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or occasionally there's boxing bets I'll put on. But part of it, you're trying to gauge it off of like your own knowledge. So when you put it on, you do feel like it could come through. So there's that buzz that you could win this amount of money that's on offer. So it's just one of these things that I could totally understand people getting addictions to it. I'm fairly smart with it most of the time. I don't do massive bets. You get some people that put like fucking thousands on a singular bet, and it's like Jesus,
Yep.
it's mad. I think the most I've ever done on a singular bet is like probably 15 quid. I think.
Hmm.
It might be 15 quid. Can't mind what that was. But yeah, that's the most that I do. There's different different types of bets. Sometimes you could put on big bets on like safe stuff, or you could put on a small one on something kind of wild. It's, the odds are high.
Yeah,
So if
they're
you do,
stacked
if it does
against
come
you.
through, yeah, if it does come through, then it's a fucking huge one. I've had a decent ones come through myself, but I don't think I'm actually at like a loss of money, but I've certainly lost more bets than I have won.
Yeah.
But whoa, it's certainly a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it's probably a guilty pleasure for a lot of people, to be
Certainly a
honest,
guilty
who
pleasure.
are
I
in
I don't
betting.
see myself stopping for a wee bit.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly be indulging in it for a wee bit more. Nothing ridiculous though.
Aye. Well, that I believe wraps up on the main topic
Yeah, it does.
and brings us off into more general talk with our news segment.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to give us our first example of some news?
Oh yeah, sure. The first thing I have is some very, very sad news, and it's the death of Eddie Van Halen, an absolute legend, an absolute icon, and probably one of the most symbolic guitar heroes you could get. He's easily up there, and one of the first as well to just pull out incredible skill and incredible all that shit.
Yeah.
And my God, I love listening to Van Halen all the time. Because I think their first album was like 1978. Which is I think it was before majority of like shredding and really fast guitar work started coming about. So I think he was literally I think he was the sort of like originator and the start of like an entire fucking generation.
Yeah.
But just there's so many iconic moments that he's had. Like the song Eruption. I don't know if have you heard the song yourself?
I'm
I'm
not
sure you
sure. I
have through
probably have
your
heard
brother.
it. Probably. Not too
But
versed with song terminology. I don't know if that's just song names.
Mm-hmm. But that's mind blowing. Even now, it's still ridiculous. And it's that literally was I think track 2 in their very first album. So when that came out, it just fucking melted people's ears, Fucking crazy. But he's Eddie has been such just this huge figure in music for so long, to the point where he literally had his own guitar brand as well as like for amps and stuff and heads and like actual gear. He sold like his own set of gears, and it's really good as well. I haven't tried them myself, but I've certainly heard and watched plenty of stuff on them. And it's crazy. It's crazy how much influence he had on the music scene. And to see him go is really sad. I think he was 65 when he passed away. And he had a battle with throat cancer for about I think it was 10 years. It said.
Right.
And
damn.
Yeah, it's just it really shook me. Like there's not too many like celebrity deaths that really get to me, and I'm like Jesus, I'm just absolutely shook. But yeah, he was definitely one of them. Definitely one of them. guitarists I looked up to as well whenever I played and learned. There's been a couple of times I've tried to learn Eruption and play it, but to get it like him is a whole different task.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, rest in peace to him. He will forever be cemented in history.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like to lighten us with some different news.
I don't know if this is exactly going to lighten the mood, but it's certainly not as dreary. Is Japan's lost generation is still thriving in terms of like being jobless and living with their parents. So like, there's like a class of Japanese men, due to their society and how their culture is with their jobs and that, they're known as like people in their 50s, 40s, I think late 30s, are like in this block of people who have got an education, have got opportunities, but due to the social burdens they went through life, they have tended to end up staying jobless or even just being a shut-in in general. And it's mostly due to how they feel from having parents' expectations on them. So like their parents most likely end up being like the CEO or some very important person in a company, and they've got to live up to this thing, and they've realized they fucked up in their life. That's just completely fucked their confidence, and this sort of idealistic like hierarchy in their family is what matters most to a lot of Japanese folks. So especially the older ones we have now in the 40s and that. And I was reading up on a wee report on it, talking about how this guy came to realization that after this lost generation man who caused a knife incident at a bus stop, who killed like I think 3 people and injured 18 others, who was one of these recluse people who had just snapped basically from everything that's happened to them, like being a failure essentially. So this guy, who's currently 45, decided that he needs to not become like this man. He doesn't think he'll ever become this man, but he's deciding that he needs to change his life. And it's a lot of people are now trying to help the lost generation get jobs, even if it's like very slight and stuff. Because like Japan has about I think it was 306,000 folk who are shut-ins. And that's a lot of people. A lot of people. People who don't like otherwise like physically and are capable of doing these jobs, but due to their confidence and their standings, feel like they've dishonored their family and they can't bring themselves to leave or do anything. They've just completely lost all motivation, and it really affects them. And I think I think it was a really good read because of that whole life incident, and it's helping move this whole lost generation, and hopefully they can get past it. Like, and I think it really does reflect how you need to work on self confidence. So, like younger generations and that going for education, that's like even if you think you can't do something, you failed, you should not be like disappointed. You should just try harder next time or continue with the pace you're going. It's like you're not a failure. You're just you. I think that's very important for any generation to know and learn. It's like if you think you can go beyond, you should. But if you truly are working your hardest, don't think you're a failure. But that's my first piece of news on how Japan's dealing with that and what's happening.
Interesting. My second bit of news is certainly not dreary. It's quite positive. And it's Jared Dines, who is a fairly popular music YouTuber, you know. And he uploaded very recently Gent 2020. So for yourself and anyone who doesn't know, he's been doing this series since I think 2015. So like every year he puts out a Gent video. So Gent 2015 and Gent 2016, and each year he's progressively making it more like ridiculous and wild. The genre is it's like it's a metal genre, but it's like a subgenre of progressive metal. So it's like a certain style, and there's a lot of typical like expectations and what you might hear within songs of this genre. So that a lot of times there'll be plenty of zeros being played, and it's just really low and like heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But I do really like the genre, and there's fucking tons of good songs within, and tons of classic, not classic, but just class bands. But at the same time, it's one of those genres that has certainly been memed within the YouTube community, and just within like some of the metal fanboys who are like, oh no, you can't like that. You've got to like this type of metal. Rock on, Iron Maiden, you know. You get a lot of metalheads that are just they're not supportive of other subgenres. So, Gent has certainly gotten a bit of hate, and a bit of meme, but it's certainly good to me anyway. And yeah, he's been doing this series where every year he puts out this video for Gent. And this year's one has recently been uploaded. Well, the last year's one, it was, I say last year's, let me go back first. In 2018, he ended up buying, or he got a guitar made for him that has like fucking 20 odd strings. Like, absolute massive guitar. You should search it up if you haven't seen it. But it's massive. Jeez, the amount of strings, like, and with each string, it gets thicker and thicker. So he just goes through the whole video just playing this. And in the 29 video that he put out, it was like a battle between him and another YouTuber, Steve Terberry. And he also ended up buying like this guitar that has even more strings. It's like 24 or something fucked. I can't mind actually how many strings they've got, but it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And that whole video was like just a battle between them, just doing absolute chonky riffs, just seeing who could get the lowest and the most dirtiest shit. It was certainly entertaining videos, man. But this year they did it more in the style of one of his other videos, which is it was like the biggest shred collab essentially, where he contacted like tons of fucking musicians and tons of YouTubers to just record like a clip of them playing like a solo over backing tracks, and he put tons of clips together just to make this massive collab.
Yeah.
So this year's Gent, he's done that as the style of video. So it's just tons of musicians doing like Gent riffs, and you know they write it themselves. All these musicians, and it's really great. And the people who took part this year it's incredible. So obviously you got Jared Dines himself. You've got Tosin Abasi, who's ridiculous at guitar, from Animals as Leaders. You've got Misha Mansour from Periphery. You've got Steve Terberry from last year's video. You've got Rabea Massad, Nick Nocturnal, Matt Heafy from Trivium, K-Mac, the memer, Jason Richardson, Andrew Baina, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Cole Rowland, fucking I Built the Sky, Ichika Nito, who I think is from. Let me check. Ichika Nito. What's the band he's part of again? I think he might just be himself, actually. Yeah, I think he does his own stuff, but it's very similar to like Polyphia. So that style of music, that style of guitar playing he does. So that was his performance in it was actually the first time he's attempted Gent, which is really cool to see, and just the whole mix of everyone together made it just a great video. I think some really chunky riffs, some really great stuff in it.
Yeah.
Bit of a long rant about that one, but certainly entertaining. That's my second bit of news.
Well, my second bit of news is to do with great old, your friendly neighborhood, Spider-Man, which is the third film they're coming out with. They're making Spider-Man 3. We don't know what it'll have like home to do with the title, but there's a lot of rumors and stuff going on that it's gonna possibly interconnect with Spider-Verse and have maybe like Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, all that in as like returning Spider-Man, which would be really cool and a really unique like storyline that they could do.
Mm.
And I'm one of these like animation purists where I'm like, if something's been animated first, keep it that way. But Spider Verse obviously is a completely different scenario. It's from a comic, and
Yep.
it should be made in live action as well because I feel that would be great. But as long as it's not them free, there needs to be more than just free Spider Man. It wouldn't be a Spider Verse otherwise. But I've seen there's more like rumors and stuff coming about like with Tom Hardy possibly joining in as well with Venom
Ooh. Ooh.
and stuff like that. So like they could maybe make like a whole Spider Island arc or maybe some sort of thing going on with Lady Arachnid or whatever her name is. I can't remember her name. It's been so long since I've seen her. But I feel like Spider-Man 3 could be a really like creative film because it's got
Yeah.
Doctor Strange involved as well.
Yes.
And
God.
if Doctor Strange and his film with the multiverse thing going on with his film will possibly
Yep.
interconnect with the WandaVision show, it'll possibly interconnect with this movie as well.
Oof. Yeah.
Which is probably how the whole Spider-Verse thing happens. Doctor Strange maybe ends with like accidentally sending Peter to another universe. Who knows?
Oof.
Definitely a
I'm very
possibility.
much looking forward to it. I'll tell you that. Whatever direction they go, which I hope they do, with this multiverse stuff and whatnot. I'm looking forward to it, and just as you said, the fact that Doctor Strange is going to be in this, just
We just want to see
exciting.
Doctor Strange do more magic, bro. Like
Oh my
I
lord!
remember in his first film, he's learning to do it and he's becoming quite proficient at the end of the film. But we see that one fight with Thanos in Infinity War, and he's just like summoning like mob of clones. He's doing all these like tricks, and you're like, I want to see more. I want to see more magical visual
Yes,
effects right now.
yes. Good lord,
Bye.
it'll be good.
Oh, a lot of
It'll
potential.
be goddamn good, and yeah, that Wanda Vision, that actually looked really good.
It really does.
Um,
And it's like directly based on a comic book storyline as well, so it's not like it's just
is
pulling this out of
it
nowhere.
right? Very interesting. Very
Probably
interesting.
how they get Vision back, I'm not gonna lie. Like, they're looking for a way. Oh my god, I just realised in one of the clips it shows them in black and white, and the last thing we see with Vision, that he turns black and white. Oh my god, why have I only just made this connection?
Oh man.
But there's a lot of
Yeah,
potential with upcoming MCU.
I will say if if the Spider-Man 3 has Tobey Maguire in it, if he actually appears, that would be absolutely mental. But not only that, I just want to hear it's pizza time. I just want to hear it in some fashion.
Maybe they're all getting pizza and they're like on a ledge, and Toby like sits down the pizza and Tom and Andrew look up and he just peering down on them and says, "It's pizza time." You see about the pizza?
Oh my god.
The fucking teenage mutant hero spiders. Pretty much. They like pizza.
Hi.
But yeah,
Yes.
that's my second bit of news.
Mhm. Exciting that. We don't have a date for it, do we?
We don't have a date for really anything. Like a lot of the films that have already been
Mm.
set to release have been like held back.
Yeah, they will.
Mostly it's the shows that are getting away with more like streamlined streaming shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think have we got a date for WandaVision?
I think so. They released the trailer for it, so I would assume they're going forward for the whole idea of releasing it at one point soon or later.
Let me check. I think it's December that's meant to be coming out. I don't know if they've got like a a specific date, but I think it's December. That's when it come out. But yeah, just definitely exciting, and it kind of leads me on to my last bit of news, which is just Cineworld shutting down. I think they shut down maybe I think it was all of them, to be honest. All the UK and American like stores that they had just they got shut down, and the news came out a couple of days after the James Bond film, the new one that's coming out. It got pushed back. That release date got pushed back.
Isn't that what sort of like killed them as well?
Yeah, it really did. And just this whole COVID thing is really going to put a damper in tons of businesses, such as cinemas.
Mm-hmm.
And we're already seeing it. The fact that they're having to shut down at the moment, pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Sucks.
But
it
gives more creative leeway for like Netflix not to give money to directors for like putting it on these places and stuff. And like, I think instead of like Disney Plus having like you being able to buy, Mulan for like 30 quid, it should be brought down to like 25, 20, or maybe 15 quid to buy. Maybe own for like a few months if it's £15, because essentially, unless you're like living by yourself, you can watch that movie with multiple people, and that would eventually come up to the ticket prices that you would pay to go see these movies, especially if you can watch them multiple times over like 3 months.
Yeah.
It's the way it should start going, to be honest, especially if cinemas are starting to die out.
Yeah. Don't know what'll happen in terms of like the far future.
Yeah.
But so far, Cineworld's fucked. And kind of lucky for us, I guess, for now, anyway. We have View as our local cinema, rather than Cineworld. But who knows how much longer that's gonna stay open.
On another podcast, I heard a suggestion is to help revenue with cinemas and stuff. They should like maybe once you leave the film have the DVDs being sold in stores instead be sold in the cinema itself, so they make the profit there.
Oh, right. Yeah, that would make sense.
So like maybe if you enjoyed the movie and you want to buy it, just get the DVD there, and it would also help with the whole clause they have.
Yeah, it's just trying to think of like the cinemas trying to actually open and get people in. It's not easy because you could. I think there'd be plenty of seats for you to like space people out.
Yes,
but
I think they're
then comes the problem.
Yeah,
then comes the problem of people who want to go to the toilet or want to get up and go grab a fucking hot dog or whatever. You'd have to go past the entire seats on that row, and then going down the actual stairs.
Yeah,
it makes it harder to be spaced out with that.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's certainly a big task at hand, an uphill battle for cinemas.
Yeah,
we'll just have to see what happens.
Of course, I suppose it'd be fine if you put your mask on as you're going down the aisle. But the thing is, the virus lingers on you as well. I think cinemas, like, obviously View's open right now, so I don't know how they're handling it.
Very difficult, but
it is. Well, I think that brings me on to my final bit of news. Which is, I'm not so much sad, but it means I'll probably have to pay £30 if I want to watch it, is Soul being moved to Disney Plus instead of having a theatrical release. So it's getting the Mulan treatment, which is most likely a movie you're not familiar with, especially it being of the animated variety. Is about a person of colour who is. That's the great thing about this movie. It's a completely a people of colour film. A lot of black people getting their like representation, sorry, that they need in a film. However, of course, the film goes into he turns into this non-human figure, sort of like Princess and the Frog, where you get Tiara, the black princess, who turns into a frog, so she's no longer being a person of color for most of the film. It's a bit weird, but it does it in this film. But the whole premise of the film that I really wanted to watch it for now, because I'm not a music person, but I really like how it's animated and how it's going with it, is this guy's finally got through his life. He's in his about mid-40s, I believe, and I think he has a wife and a kid, and he's a musician. He loves music, and he's always been trying to find some way to get into gigs and stuff and like do gigs, but he could never because he's a music teacher, and he finally finds that gig. He gets to play piano for a wee gig in a jazz place, and he's fucking humming, he's fucking buzzing, and then he ends up walking into a manhole, falling through it, and dying. Which is
Lord.
what causes the whole movie to start from its primary plot of him viewing his outside body or traversing through the soul world. He's like fell out of whatever liner was going to like heaven and that, and he's got to find his way back to his own body because he's finally managed to like find his passion for like music into an actual gig like he's always wanted to, and that's like the whole premise of the film. And like he meets this like person that's also like him, but it's not been born yet, a soul that hasn't been born yet, who says, "What's so great about the human world? Just stay here." So there's a lot like different things. I think one of the voice actors in the film is your man Richard Ayoade.
Oh really?
Like he plays some like sorting person or something. I can't mind, but I recognize the voice. Like you never not recognize that voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, Soul moving to Disney Plus. Like if I really really want to watch it and I've got enough money, I might just cop out the £30, or just wait like 2 or 3 months to get it on DVD or something. Or who knows, Disney Plus might just eventually make it free to watch. Well, not free to watch, you still have to pay to fucking watch it, but like on their streaming service. Actually watch it without having to have another paywall. Like Mulan has.
It certainly sounds like a decent film so far, from what you were saying.
Aye.
So you never know, I might check it out. I might check it out myself.
I think
it's
the film would be way more interesting to me if the entirety of the film was like entirely realistic. I think like the whole idea of him having trouble trying to get a gig would be a really good plot point rather than him going for the soul world. But it is Pixar after all. They got their frame through the Inside Out film, which was pretty much the same. A little girl having trouble with moving and all that, and you get to see her inside emotions act out and stuff, which spawned the meme. It's like, do you ever wonder what a person's thinking? What's going through their head? But yeah, that's my last bit of news.
Aye, so is this Pixar? Is it a Pixar
I believe it's
film?
Pixar or it's Disney. I can't remember because Disney, when they release films, they used to be just 2D, but there's no longer any 2D films. It's all 3D. So I can never tell if it's a Pixar or a Disney film. Because Frozen's Disney, Moana's Disney, but things like Cars, Bug's Life, and all that aren't. And The Good Dinosaur. But yeah, I think it'll be a good film.
Aye. What was the last Pixar film that came out?
Oh,
I mind there was Toy Story 4. That was last year.
It would have been Onward. Is it Onward? Onward. I watched that recently actually. It's Chris Pratt and Tom Holland playing elf brothers in this sort of magic film. Basically, the premise of it is wizards used to be about a lot, and magic was used a lot back in the past with all these magical creatures. But as times went on, they found that it's just easier and whatever to use cars and electricity and all that. It's actually a really good film. It's really grounded and relatable. There was Coco, which is another music one about a wee boy. I can't mind where it was, but you're Mexico or Spain or something. But is I think it was Mexico because it's about Day of the Dead.
Yeah,
and
I remember seeing stuff about that.
About a little boy who just wants to play guitar, but his family's all like very much against music due to like their great grandmother's father being leaving them and all that sort of stuff, and the kid goes to the other world and finds oh shit, blah blah blah. It's just about music. That's another one. It's about music.
Aye.
Enjoyed that one too. Pixar can produce absolute bangers. I'll give them that.
They certainly can. They certainly can. Does that wrap us up then for news?
That does.
It does.
Brings us on to favourite games. I suppose I should start us off, seeing as I forced you to
Sure.
Last one. My favourite games of all time as a series as well is the Batman Arkham games. So like I've mentioned this on a previous podcast with like great replayability in them, but I've never really went into why I like them more. What's like how you do it? But like the first game I got into was like Arkham Asylum, which is like, you know, Batman taking Joker to the asylum, and Joker has his master plan that he's taking over the asylum, and stuff happens, and you just got to traverse your way through said locale to stop the Joker. I liked it. I was quite unnerved by the whole Killer Croc sequences where you have to go for the sewer and he's underwater, and there'll be random points where Croc will like come out of the ground and you'll hear him coming, but like you have to look in all four directions to see where he's coming from, and by the time like you look at one, he's probably halfway towards you and you shit yourself because you have to like throw a batarang at him, otherwise he just drags you underwater and eats you basically. You've got Arkham City, which is my absolute favourite game of all time. It was amazing. The combat in these games is very much press square to punch folks. Press triangle when you see, or you sort of see a maneuver for somebody to punch you, which will counter them. It doesn't. I don't think counters actually kill them unless you're like on the easiest mode. But then you've got to continue punching, and as you like progress, you get like maybe different skills. So like if you get to like a punch counter of 5, you're able to perform a takedown, which is just basically if you press like triangle and circle at the same time, it do like a 1-hit KO sort of sequence. And like you've got all these different things, and you think, oh, it's just easy, but there's a certain point in that game where it no longer relies on just triangle and punching. You have to like time what you do. You have different enemies, like ones with riot shields. You got ones who will just charge through you. So you got to time it and stuff, and it's a game that I really like loved going through, especially the challenge modes and that. You got like Arkham Origins, which was made by like another company. I think it was W Montreal or something. That did it instead of Rocksteady. And then, which was like the origins of Batman, who had like Troy Baker and your man's one of them voiced Joker, but they had different voice actors for them both. And then Arkham Knight was like not like the finale, because we're getting the Suicide Squad game, which is like the continuation of the Arkham universe. But Arkham Knight, I still think in this day and age, 5 years later, it has some of the best graphics in any video game. It just looks phenomenal to play through. The frame rate can be a bit jittery, but see if that thing was playing on a PS5 engine, it just
imagine.
It's a fantastic game, because most of the game, Joker's like he's not in it because he's deceased from the prior game.
Yes.
And they implement it through the fact that in the previous game you were infected by the Titan poison blood thing that he injected into you, which came from his blood. So in Arkham Knight, you start hallucinating and becoming more like the Joker. Hence, you start seeing the Joker appear. Like he'll like pop down next to you and start speaking to you like, "Oh, Bess, yeah, you should just shoot this guy in the face." And he just constantly ignores it. I don't even think Batman ever replies to Joker during the game. He can jump scare you. There's been times where Arkham Knight is brilliant for jump scares, because you'll walk through a corridor and you look like at a wall and there's a box. You look around the room again and you turn around and Joker's suddenly on the box that he was never on in the first place. And you turn around again and you turn back and he's gone. It's just I really like that game.
I remember watching that one when it came out, because obviously, as you're saying, he's deceased from the previous game, and I remember hearing that, and I was like, oh, and hearing that he featured as hallucinations in the start of this one. So I was actually quite interested in it, and I mind watching gameplay for it. And I've watched gameplay for a couple of them, but I've never gotten around to actually playing them myself. I've never purchased them, but I know they're good games, and I know they're well loved
Aye.
by many.
Saying that, I mentioned the combat, but there's also like the stealth segments. So like you've got like stealth take down folks in certain rooms. You've got like hang from ledges, and you've got like create distractions and make sure when you run into somebody they don't shoot you, because you can die pretty quickly in the stealth sections if you're not careful.
Mm.
So you got like smoke bombs you can use. You got like batarangs you can like distract people with. I think my favorite part of Arkham Knight was you can use different skins in that. So like you can be like Batman Beyond, you can be like the Dark Knight Batman, or you can be the Dark Knight Batman, the Christopher Nolan Batman. You can reskin the Batmobile in that game as well, because the Batmobile is heavily used in that game. You drive about in it, and that's how you get across the city. Or you can use it in certain segments to climb places, shoot down things, and you could retexture the Batmobile to look like the Batman versus Superman Batmobile, the old Batmobile and all that, and it was really good.
Mm.
It's really good for playing as other characters too, like Robin, Red Hood, which is one of the only characters you get to play as, which you can actually just straight up kill the people you're beating up. I think each game had their own like, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? But each game had their own special DLC character you can play as. So like Asylum, for only PS3 users, mind you, you could play as Joker, and his wee gadget is he'd leave these jack in a box things that explode in people's face if they go up to it,
Oh yeah.
or he has the big fuck off gun. Arkham City had Catwoman, Robin, and Nightwing, and then Arkham Origins had Deathstroke, which is really cool because he has his wee sword, and Arkham Knight obviously had Azrael. That. I just really like. It's probably just because I'm such a massive DC fanboy that I like these
Yeah,
games,
you are.
and a lot of games that have these sort of like combative like methods and that, like Spider-Man PS4 works very similar, especially in stealth and combat, which is why I really enjoyed that game and all.
Mm.
Shadow Mordor did as well. I really like Shadow Mordor. But that's my first game. I
That's
enjoy
your
it.
first. Well, looking at my list of favorite games, I think they're all video games. I will say,
Mm-hmm.
um, and quite a few of them are series. But I will mention probably my favorite out of the series. My first one is the Borderlands series. Um,
Aye.
so that includes Borderlands, just the first one, Borderlands 2, Borderlands the pre-sequel, Borderlands 3, and the Telltale one, which was Tales of the Borderlands, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, all of those I fucking adore.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. Um, the thing with Borderlands, it's a looter shooter, so it's one of those ones that as you're playing through the story, and whatnot, there's this this absolutely huge pool of weapons that you can get, and like different variations of certain weapons. So you might see a certain ones reappear, like for example, a Hyperion shotgun. You could see that appear every now and again, but they're always going to be like different stats. So some of them might have better accuracy, some of them might have better damage, whatnot. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just something so satisfying about leveling up, playing through the game, and just trying out different weapons. Right, finding something that's just really overpowered. Get, oh my god, this kills really quickly, and then as you level up, it starts getting a bit weaker and a bit weaker, and then you find something else that's amazing as well, something really rare. Occasionally, in the previous games, it was a lot harder to get legendaries, so it kind of meant more when you got them.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of like, oh my god, when you did. So when you did finally like max out your level and that, it became that point where you were grinding out to try and farm bosses to get these legendaries.
Yeah.
And for the extreme Borderlands players, it was trying to get the best variation of that legendary. But I never quite got to that point. And I've played through the Borderlands so many times. The first one came out in 2009, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
It came out in 2009, and I got it in 2009 because I had a mate in school who was like, "Oh, mate, you need to try this game and play it." So he actually lent me the game for a week. So because I think he had a spare copy, so he lent me the game. I played it. I absolutely loved the fucking first one. I ended up giving it back to him and just buying the game myself. But there was a few of us that used to play the first one, and I've played through it for so many times. I can't. I could put a number on it, but it's well over 10 times, from like the start to finish. And in some cases, to get to the max level, you've got to complete the game like 2 times maybe. I think 2 times normally does it to get to max. So I played the first one so much. Then Borderlands 2 came out. Played the fuck out of that even more than the first one. And it's so good because you get tons of different characters to play as, who each have their own unique skill trees. So not only do you have like this whole loot system, which makes the game extremely replayable, but the fact that you can pick between one of 4, or in some cases they've added in DLC characters that you can play as. And they've all got these skill trees, so you have to figure out what skill points you're going to want to put on to get this certain type of build, or if you want to use different weapons, or whatever. If you want to have a character that's fully focused on like elementals, you could have a whole different build for that. And it just opens up so much replayability. And I think that's part of why I love the game so much as well.
Yeah.
And I think out of the whole series, I really like Borderlands 3, but the story kind of lacks. And I think a lot of people do say much the same, and there's many haters on it, to be honest. If you go on the Borderlands 3 subreddit, it's just an absolute shitfest of people hating on everything.
But I think
I still really enjoy it.
I think the core of it is I think Borderlands 3 is apparently the most polished of the games in terms of like gunplay and loot pool.
I would agree.
Which is where I've seen some people's voice their opinions why Borderlands 3 is the best game, because they didn't really care much for jokes or plot in the first place for any of the games. They just really enjoyed the gameplay mechanics, which is it's the same for me. I really like it, but I think what put me off Borderlands 3 a bit is just too many legendaries.
Yeah.
Constantly spawning.
You've said this before we've had the discussion, where the previous ones you could get legendaries like very not often. You'd be lucky to get maybe 1 or 2 in a playthrough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
like mind was it Borderlands 3 or was it was Borderlands pre-sequel. Remember, I went up to one of the lottery machines and I actually got the legendary thing, all 3, and you were just like, whoa, what? Because I remember like when we first started playing years ago, you're like, you're never gonna get it, you're never ever gonna get this. I'm like,
yeah,
we'll see about that. And like 4 years later,
because they were in 2. They were in 2, and it was even harder because like the actual percentage was smaller on that game than it was for pre-sequel. But even then, it was still small on pre-sequel, and it was me, you, and one of our mates who was playing, and we had this system set up where I would hit the slot machines. He would grab the guns off them, bring it to you, and then you would grind them on the grinder to
get
try and get
legendaries.
better weapons and get legendaries that way. And we did that for ages, and then all of a sudden we stopped, and then you just casually hit the fucking thing, and you get a legendary. I'm like, bam,
Get all 3 vault
bam.
symbols, and I'm just like, boys, get over
What do
here,
you mean?
boys! And you're like, what? Boys, get the fuck over here! And you come over and look at it, and you see all 3 vault symbols, and you're like, what? Amazing. Because it actually really meant something seeing legendaries.
It did. So yeah, out of all of the games in that series, as much as I love all of them, I think Borderlands 2 hits for me as the best. Just everything combined, it's the near perfect. Like the whole story, I think, is the best out of all of them. Borderlands 1, it kind of lacks because it's just one thing that they do throughout most of it, and the protagonist is not very well known. They didn't get it. They didn't convey it well, but it was still a solid game in terms of gameplay and all that. Locations was spot on. The actual guns spot on. It was magnificent. Such an amazing game, Borderlands 2. So I think out of that series, Borderlands 2 stands tall for me as the best.
Mm-hmm.
They all have their own pros and cons, but that's my first. That's my first game.
Well, my second one is also DC, but not. It probably would have never been the case of it being just because it was DC that I would like it. Is Gotham City Imposters, which is a first-person shooter, and it's very strange. It runs on the basis of it's completely multiplayer. There's no story or anything, but it's completely on the basis that there's 2 teams. One are the Batmen, so they're Batman wannabes and shit, and the other team are the Jokers, or Joker wannabes. So the whole point of it is we're wannabe Batman, we're fighting the wannabe Jokers. Obviously, these people are not worthy of either's attention, the real one's attentions. But gist of it is you get all these wacky tools and abilities and guns you get to use. And I was never really good at first-person shooters, but there was just this one particular game I put all my time into. I got to a really high level. I was really good at it. I always liked playing it. I would rarely die in a game, and I'd always cut about with because the whole mechanics for the games is you get to choose for each class a different body type. So you can have a really tall and big build one, so he'll be able to take more damage, but be slower. But then you can change it to I think one of them's a female, that's really really fast, but takes more hits and has less stamina, and I think there's a few other fastest and shit. But normally you just go for the normal guy if you want to beat all around. I'd go for the really big fat guy, and what I'd do is you can put on a glider, and there's all around each map are bouncy things or air vents that you can go up to get height, and I'd use that and use the glider to go about the map fast as the big fucker. Use my katana, which you can get the katana. You can use. I used a sniper a lot in that game as well. There's so many good guns I miss. There was a lot of DLC ones you'd get a parrot cannon, you'd get shurikens you can throw. You get roller skates, which you can put on the big fat guy, which makes them faster, but his traction's weirder. So you sort of got to drift like a car around corners and stuff. So it's not easy, but if you learn how to do it, then you're cracked at the game basically. I just really, really enjoyed playing it. And once you get a really good PC, if the player base is existent, which is very unlikely because it's a 2010 game, especially for how not popular it was even when I was playing it, is maybe get back into it and see how it is. Because I just adore that game and I still adore it. It's been pretty much 10 years since I last played it. Maybe 8 years at most. I just missed the bloody game.
Yeah, it'll certainly fit into that nostalgic feel for you.
Yeah. That's my second
one. My second is another series, and it's a fucking popular one at that. Call of Duty.
Mm.
The whole Call of Duty series, and I have played every single one since fucking COD 2, I think. The very first COD I ever played was COD 2, the Big Red One, as it was called, which was just magnificent. Back then, I used to play that and like some of the Tom Clancy games, but that was way before online was a thing for me. But the first COD that I actually played online was Black Ops 1, actually.
Online?
It was Black Ops. Yeah, I think. Or maybe Modern Warfare 2, actually.
Modern Warfare 2? I would have thought Modern Warfare 2. I was like, wait, what?
I did play it briefly because I got Xbox Live more later than you and like Ken and that.
Yes.
So I got it quite very close to the actual release of Black Ops 1. So I did play Modern Warfare 2 online a bit, but in terms of like on launch, Black Ops was the one, and it's such a good game. Out of all of them, man, there's so many that are so good, and so many that are just well loved. Fucking COD 4, absolute banger. World at War, fucking Heat, the zombies mode in that just slapped and took off.
Yes.
As we know.
Took off so much that even like the non-Black Ops games would start implementing zombies into
them. Even some of the less popular ones, Ghosts, right? I actually really liked the mechanics, the engine, like how you moved, how you shot the guns. That felt really satisfying to me, almost on a similar level to IW.
Yeah.
That sort of satisfaction, and I think it's just down to how they make the games, because that was Infinity Ward.
Yes. I feel like Ghost's downfall was...
But yeah, like, they were hated games, and I understand.
I think Ghost's downfall was completely because of the maps.
Yeah,
I think it had like the gaseous maps.
I'm sure
But even the 24/7 one they added because it's the most popular map, because they needed to, otherwise the player base was going to shit, was still one of the worst maps to exist.
Fucking Advanced Warfare was probably one of the worst CODs to have come out. But at the time, I had a fucking blast with it. Especially playing like comp. Actually playing ranked games. It was fun. But yeah. There's been so many CODs that have come out over the years, and I've always played them. I've always blasted the multiplayer, and the zombies can't go unnoticed. Put ridiculous hours into fucking many of them, And I was really thinking about what I actually think is the best COD, and it always changes. So it always changes. So like, I think the one I've put the most hours into has got to be Modern Warfare 2, and I have a picture of my hours that I've got on it somewhere saved on my phone. If I can remember, I think it's something like 52 days played. Across, and yeah, that's across campaign, multiplayer, and Spec Ops. Which, fucking hell, Spec Ops, man, that was class. I played all of them, all the maps, all the missions, should I say, on Legendary as well, which was a task because some of them were fucking ridiculous with the juggernauts. Like, yeah, Modern Warfare 2. Some days I might tell you Modern Warfare 2 is my favourite, genuinely, and the multiplayer for that was so chaotic, but because everything was chaotic, it kind of weirdly balanced out, so it felt like everything was balanced and it was fair. Do you know what I mean? But some stuff generally was broken. Last Stand, One Man Army Noob Tubes, my god. Sniping was so fun on that game. Yeah, I think some days I might tell you that's my favourite, but right now, looking back, I actually think that Black Ops 3 is probably one of my favourite CODs. And I know you don't like the multiplayer for that.
No.
And we all know how fucking bad the campaign was.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put that aside. But that year for Black Ops 3 was honestly one of the best years for me, I think.
Because
So
after,
fun
like,
playing pubs.
the 2 games that came out after, you were still, like, you'd still end up going back to it because the 2 games after it just couldn't, like, come up to its quality from the player base.
Yeah. It's one that's loved as well by a lot of fans.
Mm-hmm.
Just there's so many good qualities about it, man. I could sit and talk about it for ages, but Black Ops 3 for me, just the multiplayer was so solid. The actual ranked I thought was so fun, and it was the most engaging one for me. Like in terms of watching the professional teams play it and playing it myself, and like working up the ranks, and trying to get really, really technical with like the spawns and playing like hardpoint and search and destroy and all those. Playing that to a really competitive level was just so fun. And the zombies, man.
Zombies that year was something else.
Something else. Genuinely during that year for Black Ops 3, you know the quote from Office that I think Michael says it. Is it Michael or is it
What's
his name?
I'm able to figure out if you tell me the quote.
Yeah, the quote is like, let me see if I can find it. The quote is from Andy Bernard, and it's actually, I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them, which in itself is a Wally quote, which could have easily been mentioned in the quotes thing we did before, but that kind of resonated with me a bit, and it's what I was thinking of during Black Ops 3. I was thinking, I was like, this is it. The what right now is the good old days, and I'm gonna remember this year for Black Ops 3 because it was just so good.
Yeah.
Absolute peak for zombies, and I hope it returns to that level of excitement.
Cold War does look promising.
It does.
Especially like all around. I don't think I've had an all around great COD since like Black Ops 2. I think my favourite, I don't think I know my favourite COD's Black Ops 1. Very close to Black Ops 2. In terms of multiplayer, I think the one I played the most and like got like dark matter on as a camo was like Black Ops 4. It was like my last COD that I was gonna take seriously. So I'm like, I'm gonna fucking get all the camos available, and I did it, and then I had to leave the game. But my third game is Pokemon. It's a series I've loved. Since I was really young, my brother had I don't know if he had the leaf green ones. I think the only ones he actually had was like Pokemon Ruby or Emerald. So he was a Gen 3 player. As short a time as it was, he probably played that, got to like caught legendary, and that was it. I remember seeing that and got to borrow it, but the first set of games of Pokemon I actually got that I played properly and completed was Pokemon Pearl and Diamond. When I got my first DS at like the age of 8, my mom got me both games to play through because with the DS games you don't get mobile saves for Pokemon. You get that one save, and if you want like to start again, you can't keep that previous save. You gotta like delete the data. So I got the 2 games, 2 different saves basically. Eventually, Pokemon Platinum came out, and it was the most refined version of those 2 games. It was amazing, the pace was good. It was basically the perfect Pokemon game in terms of difficulty, story, visuals, the generational Pokemon. All the starters were great. I loved the music. Oh my god, the champion music, some of the best music of all time. Like, there's a lot of great contenders for good Pokemon games and what's the best, but honestly, hands down for me, it has to be Pokemon Platinum. So many playthroughs on that, just one like generation of games. Like, even now when I go back to play it, what I'll do is I'll mod it to have like different starter Pokemon for me. So like, if I don't want any of the original three, I'll like spawn in like, oh, I'll have a Bulbasaur instead of like a Chimchar. I'll have a Squirtle or a Chikorita, or I'll have something new, just like spice things up. So like, I'm not modding the game so much to like be like, oh, I've broken it. I've given myself Pokemon.
Easy, you know.
I'm just replacing my starter with another starter.
Aye.
I don't use the starter I've been given. I've just traded it in, basically. It's the same as actually trading that set Pokemon, except from I'm just modding it in.
Aye.
I've played a lot of Pokemon, like an insane amount of Pokemon back in my day, especially when I got into emulators and I started playing modded ones. So like it's like got all new maps, got all new regions, sometimes even new Pokemon. One of the best ones I like to play is it's like a randomizer Pokemon. So like it's like a Nuzlocke where you get what you catch first, a counter, but it randomizes the Pokemon. You could get a legendary, you could get the shittest Pokemon. Your team could be so fucked, and I really enjoy that aspect of playing Pokemon because it's turn based. You evolve your Pokemon, they learn the moves, you learn the types, you learn the type weaknesses. There's so many type weaknesses because it depends if they have a dual type. So much to think about. It can be an easy game if you play it blindly, but if you're unlucky and you go for certain decisions with certain Pokemon, you might end up fucking yourself. I really enjoy it because it's more logical based than actually like you're moving about and shooting folk or moving about and beating people up. And I think I just hands down think my favourite aspect of Pokemon that drawn me in as well was the aspect of you getting your Pokemon and it can evolve. It can change form, it can learn new things, it can become bigger, it can look cooler.
Yeah.
I think Pokemon Platinum is like the perfect like capturation of what a good Pokemon game is.
Yeah.
That's my third.
Pokemon's definitely a quality series. And there's a lot of people that'll have their own personal favourite just based on what their first one was, you know?
Yeah. That's why I say I'm not so biased, because it technically wasn't my first, because I played Emerald, and I really enjoyed Emerald. But when I actually got to own my own games, they were fresh, they were brand new. I was just like, this is great. It's amazing.
I think when I played, I think probably my favourite was Sapphire.
The Kyogre one.
Yeah. Although my actual first one was Silver, and I still do have a soft spot for Silver.
Silver's a fucking fantastic Pokemon game.
Fantastic. Many, many good ones, but yeah. So it's a good pick.
Aye.
I'll move on to my next one, which is Need for Speed, and I'm on about the one from 2015, which is it's literally just titled Need for Speed. Now I've played many a Need for Speed, quite a few back in the day. I played on the PS2, some on the PSP even, you know, the DS. There was a couple I had, and I certainly enjoyed them. And I was thinking about like which driving game to put in, and I've definitely played like a lot of Forza as well. Out of all of the Forzas, I think Forza 3 or 4 was peak for me. But this one just captured me in a different way that the other ones didn't. Like I put many hours into like tons of driving games, but this one, Need for Speed 2015, there's just something special about it to me. And this is one that I played a shit ton, and I went for the platinum, and then after the platinum, I just still played because it was so fun.
Yeah.
It's quite arcadey, and the drifting on it, oh my god, it's satisfying. It's so satisfying. When I pick up a driving game, it takes me a while to get used to the mechanics, and getting used to oversteering, understeering, and just the cars in it. You know what you're capable of doing. And it takes me a while before I properly get going, and I'm really good at tracks, and I get very comfortable with doing fast times and whatnot. And this is one of those games that once I got going, racing was just amazing, and it was really good because you could you can replay certain races just to earn coins. So then you can obviously go and buy new cars and whatnot and do tons of customized options. And this game was really good for customizing. Actually, you could do tons of stuff, and there was the community upload system that they had. So you could actually you can make your own custom decals onto the car and upload it yourself, or just search for ones that are pre-made, go through the most popular, and then just slap it on. You know, so you could get like the police decals on a car if you wanted, or just anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anything like the Paul Walker Skyline. You could get that on your car if you wanted. There was a ton of things that you could customize, and it was great. It was really, really, really good. I played the absolute shit out of it, man. Which out of quite a few of the Need for Speeds, some are set in like different times of the day, and some of them just go through like a cycle. But this one I think is always set at night, so the actual like atmosphere and the aesthetic of it, this sort of nighttime street racing.
Yeah.
I fucking love, and I used to play some of the Midnight Clubs games, which I fucking loved back in the day. Which was also, hence the name Midnight Club. You drive late at night, so that's sort of street racing. But this is great. This is absolutely great. I think quite a few people have positive things to say about this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my driving game of choice.
Never really been massive driving game.
No.
I think the closest I come to actually enjoying racing or driving a car is in Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Nah, I played quite a lot of Rocket League, to be fair.
You did.
But it was mostly just because like you were playing it, and eventually I was like, I'm tired of this like sort of game. It just isn't really for me.
That was less of a focus on the actual driving aspect than it was.
Yeah. But my fourth favorite game is one that I've been playing for. It's been over a year by now. Is Apex Legends, and it's
My God.
one of these battle royale games. I'm not a massive fan of battle royale. I played Fortnite. I played a bit of Blackout. Fortnite. I don't know if I could say I enjoyed it, but it was definitely an experience. Blackout, I sort of did enjoy it. I could kill folk, and I do enjoy the whole idea of like looting, getting your gun up, seeing like if you're lucky enough to get certain attachments and stuff. Which is what I enjoyed about this game. Is Apex Legends is a battle royale set in originally Kings Canyon, which is like this sort of like grassy map with a bit of like desertness to it at points, and you play to begin with like one of the 6 legends, and I think it's like been built up since then, and I think there's about 12 now. Because for each season there's a new character or legend in this case, and my main is Octane, which I believe was introduced in season 1. And his whole thing is his special ability is he stabs himself with a stim, which makes him faster, gives him like a wee 15% speed boost, but that takes away a bit of his health. But his passive ability is whenever he's not taking damage, he starts healing. And his big ultimate ability is he throws down a jump pad and he just fucking flies away when he hits it, basically. That's the gist of his character. He's I want to say Mexican or Spanish. I'm really bad at like these sort of things with nationality, but he's one of these like, hey compadre, hombre, I'm gonna stem out of here, my man. That's the other character trait with him as well, is he's a daredevil, and through being a daredevil and shit, he's lost both his legs, He now has prosthetic ones, which sort of have like these like hopping things. And my lifespan of the game, I didn't play season 1, but I did play pre-season 1. I deleted the game pre-season 1, then came back to it season 2, and ever since then I've been just playing it. And with all these different legends you face against, you have to think about what you do. You have to think about what gun choices and combinations you do. So like, it could be a shotgun or a submachine gun. It could be an assault rifle and sniper. I've played like something like 3.6 thousand games, I think.
You have put so many hours into it. It's crazy.
There's not a lot of wins because that's the thing about battle royales. It's like it's not like a 50-50 whether you win like in COD where like all you lose or it's depending on your team.
Yeah.
It's very well your wins could be like not a lot really. Like maybe like I'd get like maybe 35 wins out of like 435 games this season. As I'm looking at my stats right here, so like 364 wins of 3.6 thousand games, which is roughly 1% of win rate. It's like 1 out of 100 games I'll win, basically. But that doesn't mean you don't get a lot of kills. It's been like my highest kill in one game out of like I think 80 odd people. I think spawning. I'm not sure. 60 people. I think. Probably more than that. But I think my highest kills is 15. And my high like I want to get higher. I want to get that 20 kill badge. But
Oof.
Apex Legends as a whole is I pay for its battle pass because I like the items and all that sort of stuff. And I've got 2 consistent team members that I play with as well. I really like playing it. But it's purely like an online aspect of it, why I like it. I just really like the character designs and sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's definitely changed since it's like pre-season 1 days. But yeah, that's my 4th favorite game.
I've seen you absolutely zoom about with fucking Octane. Like you're absolutely rapping. I'm like, jeez, way up, guys, please.
That's the thing.
I've fairly played, I've fairly played it myself.
I think
Nowhere near as much
100 level 120 you are.
No, I'm like 150 something.
150. Oh fucking hell, yeah.
150 odd.
I'm near enough 500. Because they only recently, like, well, I say recently, like season 4, they upped it to like 500. Because it was really just you get to level 100 and that's you.
Yeah. Yeah, like for most people who know me, you'll know that I generally hate battle royales. A good majority of them I don't like. I did play Fortnite when it first came out, and I think the first couple seasons I did enjoy, but then it got to a point and I was just like, oh, I don't like this. The game started changing a lot, and then just the game mode itself, the actual battle royale, I started disliking. And then every other one that I played, yeah, this came out. It just came out fucking tons of them, and a good majority of them I do not like. I don't like the COD ones. I didn't like Blackout. I didn't like Warzone. Fucking, there was that god awful one that for some reason we tried that was free. Cuisine
Oh
Royale.
my
Jesus
god!
Christ! The worst game I've ever played in my entire life.
No.
That. But yeah, Apex is just one of those ones that I oddly got into, and originally I didn't play it for a good while because as I said, I didn't like battle royales, but I did eventually download it and play it, and there's just something special about it. It is a satisfying game. The movement on it is really nice. The actual gunplay is really nice.
Oh yeah.
And I think most of that is what makes me keep wanting to play, as well as the fact that you boys are fucking most days.
Pretty much an every day, to be honest.
Aye.
For a good hour or two, depending if I'm by myself or with like one of the boys. If I'm on with one of the boys, it could be up to 4 to 8 hours.
A good while.
Aye. It's not something like you're really into, but it's like enough that you go back to be like, I can enjoy it.
Now. Aye. It's a good pick from yourself. Huh?
Aye. hopefully when this gigabyte connection comes in, I might even get slightly better. Who knows? There's so many times where I go like behind a wall and I've been shot through it, probably because their latency has them on their screen showing me not quite behind that wall yet, but I'm like way past it for me. But as I said, it's one of my favorite games that I've played so much of
it. Yeah. My second last one on my list, my fourth, is not a surprise, to be honest. As y'all know, I'm a big footy fan. I love my football, so I'm picking FIFA in here. And most of them are the same, and they just make small tweaks and whatnot, and they do improve it each year, but some of them stand out a bit more than others. But yeah, I've played all the FIFAs since how far back? I think FIFA 7, FIFA 07 was the earliest one I played, and since then I've had each one, and I've played each one when they came out. And yeah, it satisfies my craving for football. Before FIFA 07, I actually played PES, and fucking oh my, PES 4 and PES 5 was two of the best PES games there was at the time. Like the actual intro to it was it said the full name. It said Pro Evolution Soccer. But since I haven't played PES like that much since those games, I do still occasionally play it, but FIFA's my go-to. FIFA's my preferred. I think they're both quality games, and yeah. But out of the FIFAs, I've played a good chunk of the new one, which just came out. I think it came out on Friday, but I had it 3 days earlier through EA Access, or it's called EA Play now actually. So I've been blasting that. But out of the series, I think the one that stands as my favourite, and just the most nostalgic looking back, FIFA 13, actually. I think that was one of the ones you had.
I don't think it was 13. I think it was. I had 11 and 15.
Was it not 13?
No, I don't think I had 13. I might have, but I strictly remember having 11 and 15.
Oh, right.
I don't think I had many.
But yeah, 13. That year there was I don't know what it was. The gameplay just felt really, really good, and it felt like such an improvement from 12. And that was the year that I started getting into the career modes, like a lot more. And oh my god, looking back, man, some of the teams that I built on career mode. There was an Arsenal team that I had that was absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, that year was fantastic, and not just good for that, but the Ultimate Team back then was a lot better. Like just now, and for the past many years, it's been a case that if you want to play Ultimate Team and you want to play it online, you're gonna need a fucking good squad, and you're gonna need like the best of the best cards. And if you don't, you're gonna get absolutely shagged. Like you can have a 79 rated player, right? Like nowadays, and it could be not that good. They could be misplacing passes and just playing like absolutely shite if you're against a better team, and it's not good. Which made the previous Ultimate Teams better, because I mind back then you could build like Brazil teams, like Brasilvas as they were known. You could literally make a full silver team of Brazilians, or a full silver team of like Ivory Coast players, or stuff like that. You could build some fairly cheap teams that were just really, really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could literally play as a silver team against someone of a quality team, and it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But back then as well, there was less of these special cards. Yeah, you still had team of the season. You still had like team of the weeks as well. But now there's so many more cards.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I had
But
FIFA 20, was it?
yeah, you got FIFA 20 on
It
a
was,
good sale actually.
yeah, it was like 15 or £9, one of the two. I was like, fuck it, I'll see if I can get into Ultimate Team again, because I've always liked. It's maybe the same with like Apex as well. It's like I see colours, I'm like, I like colours. I like when they go higher in variety. Sort of stuff. So I'm like, it goes from bronze to silver to gold. The gold are the good ones. The black ones are really good. Oh, I like the blue ones. Sort of like mentality. It's like I like building my team. It's like I'm not really into that football that much, but I played it enough to be like competent, and it's just the point that really annoyed me about playing on my team on FIFA 20 was I put a lot of hours into it, played it, got the good things, started using tactics and stuff, but I'd opened like the best packs, and my luck for getting players even just above like 82 rating was abysmal on like mega packs, which like it's got high rate like high chance for high ratings. I just kept on getting shard. I did like a final pack opening and said if I don't get a really good player of any of these like 20 packs, I'm just uninstalling the game. I opened the packs and I uninstalled the game because I'm like, I'm not putting any more hours into a game that's not rewarding me.
Yeah, it does completely uninspire you if you're not getting not upgrading. You know, you're not making improvements.
Like I'm making money and I'm slowly upgrading, but if I can't like make big jumps, because it would take me 2 weeks to get like one really good player on my team, and even that really good player is not fucking like game changing. It's just enough to be like, okay, I can play against this ranked team now, but barely. Don't get me started on the fucking rage.
Oh my god, FIFA Rage is a whole different thing.
Aye.
But FIFA for me, it's certainly good if you're a football fan. And to be honest, I think some people might have even gotten into football because of FIFA. You know,
Probably.
It's quality game. But aye, that's my pick.
My last one is it's not a video game. It's a board game. Quite an old one. It is chess, and it's one I played a lot when I was really young. It's one that a lot of my peers didn't know how to play, and I did. A lot of my peers would know how to play checkers, but it's another one I really enjoyed playing. But chess had that like extra layer of like complexity to it. You have to think a lot more ahead of what you're doing. And I wouldn't say, I don't know if I was really good at it, but I was competent enough to beat most people I played. I think my match record with my brother is I've beaten him more times than he's beaten me. So I'll take that. Saying that now, he'll probably challenge me to a few online ones and be like, haha, fuck you. But I really like chess. Like, I don't like playing it competitively.
Chess is a good game.
Don't like playing any game competitively. Which is why I don't like going into chess with a mindset of I'm going to beat you or blah blah. I go into the mindset saying, oh, I wonder what I can do. I wonder who will win. Sort of that mindset.
Yeah.
So I probably don't play too much of it because a lot of people who want to play chess with me probably will get angry playing me. They're not taking it too seriously.
It's good fun. I love chess. There was a couple of games I had on my computer way back when. It was like certain chess games, and they had like animations and stuff for when you took a
like Harry Potter and Philosopher's Stone, eh?
Aye, but I rate chess. I do.
It's a good one. It's good for your head, especially if you're thinking logically and steps ahead.
Oh yeah,
There's
definitely.
just saying that there's a lot of chess games where I just go into it like mind-numbingly, like not thinking about my future moves. I'll just look at the board and be like, oh, that's there, that's there. I'll move this here. I won't think about future moves or what my opponent does. Sometimes I'll do it just to see what I can do, but other times I'm like, I can't be bothered. I just like playing chess like
I
willy nilly.
I do know what you mean. Where like the more competitive chess gets, the less fun it gets.
Mm-hmm.
I do totally get that. I haven't played it in a while. But the odd game's good fun. I'll move on to my last one, which you briefly mentioned, and it's Rocket League.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my god, Rocket League it burst onto the scene in 2015, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the main reason it burst onto the scene as well because it became PlayStation,
It's
like
a
the
PS Plus
PlayStation.
game of the month.
Yeah,
So it's free
it
to play
was.
for a very short time.
And because of that, everyone downloaded it and they're like, "Oh my god, it's this car game where you play soccer. You play soccer with fucking cars," and everyone's like losing their shit over it. And
You can
it's
explode the
good fun.
players.
It's good fun. And what makes it one of my favorite games of all time is not only is it good for casual players, like you can jump into it, and obviously I did at the start, and many of us were really shit. We could not hit the ball properly and just miss it and just do absolute like horrid shit. But it was still fun. You still had a good time, even if you did like lose some games. And the learning curve in it was crazy, actually. But it was entertaining. Like actually seeing yourself improve, being able to do more and more as
Yeah.
you're playing. And it was, yeah, I mind. Can't mind when it was, but I mind seeing like some of the top players, and they were like jumping up with their car and like boosting into there and hitting the ball perfectly, and it's like Jesus. When you watch the professional games nowadays as well, it's just mental the actual skill level that they're
Pinpoint
at.
accuracy.
It's a very good game for ranked. It is a very good game for ranked. Not only is it good for casuals, but it's good for those players who do want to make it, who do want to play competitively. And it's a satisfying one as well when you play competitively. And I mind back when I think this was before hoops, because me and Ken used to play a shit ton, and I think we've played it the most consistent. Although in the past year or so, I've dropped off in how much I've been playing. But very recently, I've started picking it up again and playing. But there was a point. This is before hoops came out. Just before hoops came out, I was like, right, I need to start practicing aerials. I'm going to start going for aerials. And I just remember like how fun it was finally scoring one and then keep getting better at them. And because the game tracked all your stats, so being able to see how many aerials I had hit and how many goals I had was good fun. And I mind hoops came out, that game mode, which kind of forces you to practice aerials, which is really good. And that was the one where Ken properly started getting into aerials, and just a mind, it was so good. It was so good. We started going up, getting better and better as time went on, and then we started playing ranked all the time, getting the season rewards. There was a good point where I think there was a point where we were like gold even, and then going up into platinum. We were platinum for a good while, and diamond was like the mark to hit. And it was like, oh my god, if you could hit that,
I think
that'd be amazing.
hoops is when I started dropping off because of the limitation of the player party. So like where you and Ken would continue playing because
Aye.
you had much more of a passion for the game. And I was fine with that. I was fine with letting you two
Oh
play in
yeah.
that, and that's where you started like refining your aerial ability, as you were saying. But I couldn't because I didn't really get a chance to play it unless we were doing like standard.
Mm.
But I'm fine with really not still playing it because every time I went back to it, I realized how more and more I just didn't like the aspects of it. I did like I was not consistent, but like I was competent enough to play with you at the time.
Yeah.
And like being like defender or goalie, I was fine with doing that. But like as of recently, anytime I would come back, I'd either be like the only fun I would have is being on Rumble or one of the funny game modes.
Oh my god, yeah. Quality. Just the hours I've put into Rocket League is nuts, and there there was a point when me and Ken were on a very similar level, like skill level, and I think at the time you could probably, if you were to have asked us both, right, who was better, I think Ken would have said he was better than me, and I would have said that I was better than him. And it's not, that's not a bad thing at all. I think that was more just like a belief in ourselves.
Self
Do you know what I mean?
confidence. Also
Yeah,
means
we
that
had
you're
self
relatively
confidence.
in the same level then.
Aye. So you'd have good games and bad games and whatnot.
Yeah.
But Ken definitely overtook me, and when I like dropped off the game for a good while, Ken ended up getting a computer and
No way.
just flourishing.
Because it
So
means
now
his computer
he's
can handle
champion.
way more frames as well.
Yeah, but
So it's
he's
ways
put the
moving.
time in. He has put the time
He
in
has put the time in.
to properly practice.
Basically
He's
what I did with
looked at
Apex.
settings properly. Yeah. So hats off to him. Absolute mad
He
lad.
adores the game. That's why his passion's never burnt out for it.
Still, it's never burnt out. But it's got to feature in my list. It's got to feature in my list.
Yeah. Games that like especially you've put a lot of hours into. I suppose that doesn't like qualify for me putting Rocket League or like some of the other games I'm thinking of on here. But like it's definitely what I'll consider that game as a favourite simply for the amount of time you put into it. Because I think my lifespan for the game is I played the predecessor. I can't remember the whole name of it. You probably can, but
Super acrobatic rocket powered battle cars.
yes, I played that, and then obviously the new one came out, Rocket League, 2015. I played it from 2015 to 2017, like late 2017, and that's where I dropped off. So I got like a good 3 years in, like 4 or 5 if you include the predecessor. After that, I was just like, I'm done with the game. I can play other games. I'm going to play other games. It's probably where Black Ops like 4 came in when I started playing that. I think about it. But aye.
Yeah.
Rocket League is definitely one of those staple games of my gaming career, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. Does that wrap us up?
Yes, I've
We
got
both
no
covered
more,
favorite games.
which
Nice.
I guess leads us on to our final topic.
Final topic.
Final topic. Oh, and it's habits. Habits, whether we know they're there, we don't mean to do it, or habits that we
Good
want
or
to get rid
bad?
of. I don't think there's good habits, is there? Unless like they
Yeah,
act.
my first one is.
I suppose there's good habits like I don't know. I'm sure there are good habits, like accidental ones that like you're not doing it because it's for the good of you, but it's just a habit.
Mm.
But you want to start us off?
Yes.
Ben?
See, as I was saying, this is a good habit, and I actually like kind of force myself to get into this habit. And yeah, crushing cans when they're finished, right? So if I've got like a small tin of like Pepsi, Pepsi Max, Coke, Iron Brew, just one of those small 330 tins, or even if I've got dark fruits, or just anything that's in tin form, can form. What I typically do is once I'm finished the drink, I will crush it. And the reasoning behind that and why I wanted to sort of get myself into that habit was it makes it much easier to just know when it's finished. Right? Because say I've got like a fucking 6-pack or whatever, and I haven't done this in ages, but say you've been going through tons, and you've got them sat there like on your table. You haven't gotten up yet to go and put them in the bin or whatever, and you're a lot of the time you don't know, you can't remember if you finished them or not, so you pick it up and you shake it to see if there's anything in it, right? So it kind of annoyed me, like just not just that, like having to pick it up and check. So I would always crush them once I finish, so that I can visually see that it's finished, without having to be like, oh, I wonder if it is. It saves time, and it just makes things easier, I think.
Yeah.
Especially if you're at like a pub setting, and you know how you get those that come round and click glasses and that.
Yeah, and they're not sure which ones are done.
Yeah, so that they will ask as well.
Crush the glasses,
is that? No, they won't crush the glasses. I'm saying, but with the glasses, you can visually see if there's drink in them.
I've never crushed them.
You'd rather crush them. But so there's times that they'll just say, "Oh, are you finished with that?" Because they can't see if it's thing. But if it's crushed, then they'll know. So it's I think it's just a handy thing that I've gotten into.
Yeah, I did that today at the pub quiz, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing as you're not at the other table, I was like, you know what, fine, I'll just the 2 cans. Well, that's a good habit, actually, yeah. Well, my first one is I've always been bad for it, like, especially from a young age. I don't know whether it's to do with my diagnosis or not, but is subconsciously scratching myself or actually just scratching myself. So like, I tend to like touch my arms and legs a lot, and I'll just scratch. I'm scratching right now. I know I'm scratching. That feels good. But there'll be times I'm subconsciously scratching, and I look over, and it turns out I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, I've been scratching a scab or something, or like a spot, and it's like a red area, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, I shouldn't be doing that. And then 5 minutes later, I'll catch myself doing it again. It's a really bad habit, and it even happens when I'm like sleeping at night, and I wake up, and I look down, and I'm like, why the fuck have I been bleeding from my leg? Oh, I've been subconsciously scratching again. So I've tore apart a scab in my sleep, and I'm bleeding now. I'm like, oh well, for fuck's sake. And I even though I do it subconsciously, I can't say that I don't do it consciously either. If I get itchy in a certain spot, or there's a certain spot I shouldn't be scratching, I will scratch it anyway. Currently, I'm scratching my fucking leg. Again, I'm consciously doing it because I'm itchy. I'm a very itchy person. But it's something that I don't think will ever go away. It's something I can't really fix, especially if I do it subconsciously.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my first one. It's definitely my most common habit.
I've certainly had habits in the past, and some of them are hard to get out of. As like sometimes you have speech habits, so you could just constantly say one word in your sentences all the time, which I think even now I have a couple, and it is difficult because as soon as you hear it, you're like, fuck, don't say it, and then you say it again, and you're like, fuck. It just keeps going. So it's hard to train yourself out of a bad habit. I used to crack my knuckles like all the time. I don't do it anywhere near as frequently, but that used to be a habit of mine. But my second one that I've got is actually staying up late. I'm quite bad for this. And this can be
You've taken my habit.
Yeah, this can be whether I'm working or not. If I've got something in the morning or not, I could be able to lie in the next day, but I still have a habit of staying up late. Time goes by quite quickly when it's later. I feel.
I suppose.
A lot of time, I unless let's say it's a scenario where I'm staying in for the day, right? A lot of the time I will, I like play games until like a certain time, right? And then after that, I'll be like, right, I should come off at this time, or roughly this time, and then I can start to like unwind and relax more, and then start watching stuff for a while. And then, once it gets later in the night, I'm like, okay, I should come off now, and then go to bed. And even then, sometimes I end up lying in my bed on my phone, going through like Twitter or Facebook or any of the social medias, and it just every night it just gets time just goes by, and sometimes it can be really late, and you're like, fucking hell, I need to just go to bed.
It's bad.
Because like 90% of the time, I'm not like actually tired, so a good chunk of it, I'm just going to sleep because I have to go to sleep at this time. If you know what I mean. I'm actually, I should be going to sleep at this, or otherwise I'll be fucking my sleeping pattern. And even just now, because I'm not working at this moment, whole COVID thing, my sleeping pattern's gone to fuck. Absolutely gone tits up.
Yeah.
And it just gets later and later, and I'm like, god damn.
It really does. Like I know that firsthand as well. But I remember in in high school, and college even, I don't even class it as a habit for me, but back then I on average I'd maybe get to sleep at 4 o'clock, meaning I'd only get like 3 or 4 hours sleep, sometimes just 1 or 2. I'd wake up most days. So I was basically an amnesiac. I could not sleep. Not because I wanted to stay up, not because, but there'd be times where I'd put my head down and I'd attempt to sleep, and I'd be sat there an hour in darkness, just staring at the ceiling, eyes open, all eye closed, and nothing's happening because something in my body's just like, you're not getting sleep. Now, it's slightly different. I don't know whether it's because of the lifestyle change, but it used to be a lifestyle for me, is staying up late.
Yeah.
And I couldn't change that no matter how hard I try. I try to stay awake for the entirety of the night and through most of the day after, until it hit like 9 or 10 o'clock, and I go to sleep then. But then somehow still my routine would get fucked up, and I would go back to that same old staying up till 4 or 5. And I was basically my life for like every day when I had to go to school or college, and it was just, I couldn't stop it. I was prescribed melatonin, which I can still take now if I'm having like heavy amounts of trouble sleeping. Like now I still go to sleep at 1:30 or 2. One and a dot if I'm lucky. But another thing I notice is that my body will not wake me up at all unless I've got an alarm. So like if my alarm doesn't go off, my body will automatically leave me to sleep for 10 hours. And it's annoying because I don't like sleeping. I don't like waking up either, but I'd rather get up at a reasonable time rather than sleep for 10 hours. Whereas a lot of people have got like their biological clocks and they're like, well, you're waking up after 8 hours. But yeah, like I think my habit now is like I should probably take melatonin a bit more. I didn't take my melatonin back then a lot. I got too used to it, I think. But my second habit is very simple, is just forgetting to put discs back into the box or sleeve. So, I think I've got 2 right on top of my PS4 right now, is just game discs. I'll obviously switch the game to something else, and as I'm putting the disc down to put the other one in, I'll just go sit down and just completely forget that disc's up on my fucking PS4. Because I've just looked away and I've completely forgot it's there. So, I'll just have like, I think at the most I've had is like 3, and I go up to my PS4 and I'm like, oh fuck, shit. And I put like 2 away, and I forget the other one. And it's a really bad habit of just leaving them out of their sleeves and that. And that's how they end up getting damaged or scratched.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. I take better care now because I've got this, my big brown sleeve, so it's like got many pages that you can just slip the discs into.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than just having like several dozens of boxes that you have to go finding and they like clutter your room. But it's still a bad habit I have now. Even though I have the sleeve, I'll sometimes still leave a disc or 2 out by mistake.
Aye.
That's my second one.
You'll have more focus on not doing that, especially with the steelbooks. You know.
Mm-hmm. Well, steelbooks.
'Cause
Anytime my disc's out of my steelbook, I make sure it's back in there. It's because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to harm you. You're my sacred children.
Mhm.
That's my second one.
Aye. Well, my last one is fucking. Oh my god! I just said it. Swearing. Majority of the time, if I'm in like a comfortable, like place, or I'm talking to people I'm comfortable with, I do tend to have a bit of a swearing habit, and it's mostly just the word fucking.
Mm-hmm.
I just end up adding it into the sentence randomly. Sometimes I don't realize. Sometimes
It's sort of like your
I do.
or sort of like thing, but instead of or it's like fucking.
Yeah,
It doesn't really describe anything. It doesn't really
it
add
doesn't.
anything to the sentence. It's just you just
It's
say it
just.
to help you get further along in that sentence, sort of like a crutch.
I think it's. I think it's a Scottish thing. I think it's a Scottish thing.
It'd be more
Many of us
surprising if
do.
you don't swear, to be honest.
Aye, aye.
I definitely don't swear as much in public as I do like online.
Yeah.
Online, I fucking swear. For example, right there, any given time, I've swore many a time on this podcast, for example. But in public, I'm pretty like
Yeah.
soft spoken.
If it's like at work or something, I'm generally quite
Formal.
good at keeping it in. I'm good at being fairly formal and whatnot. But as I say, if I'm comfortable, then it'll just slip out. Because I know I can, essentially. So
I think it's
will.
happened to me once, and it was with a guy who was also a writer that I was working with before I got into my college courses, and he would take me to volunteer and stuff. And I just mind the word cunt or fucking slipped out of my mouth at one point, and he just looked at me and laughed and said, "It's alright, mate, it's alright, it's just a slip up." I was like, oh, shit. I mean, excuse me.
Oh, it's such a weird feeling when it slips out in a formal situation. You're like, oh no.
I always my heart always breaks when I accidentally swear in front of a child, and I'm like, oh no. I always mind when I'm with my relatives and I've got younger kids like near me, and I hear one of them swear, and I'm looking at them like, how dare you? They're children. Protect them.
Cover their ears.
And then they just look at me and say, oh, fuck off, Caden. And I'm like, oh.
Oh man.
I've been swearing since I was really young, to be fair.
Aye. God, it's gotten worse over time.
Aye.
even Limmy, the sketch with Dee Dee, he's he's always like fucking. And I was like that. Fucking.
Ricky from fucking Trailer Park Boys.
Aye.
Oh my god. There's a lot of sweaty ass characters.
But yeah, that's my last one. Last one of the podcast.
That was your last one? Well, I suppose I'll do my last one, which is watching shows and sometimes movies and essentially freezing or stopping them. So, like, I could be in the middle of an episode. A lot of the time, the episode will be like a 40-minute one. But I think I've already done one today just before the podcast. I stopped it at like 11 minutes in out of a 20-minute episode to do this. And I do them the most with movies. Not recently, like I dedicate time in my day to actually watch films now, but a habit I still show is I'll be watching a movie and I'm like maybe half an hour or 50 minutes into it, and I've got like another hour or half an hour left, and I'll just stop watching it and leave it for later on in that day or the next day. And I don't, whether it's a bad habit or not, I don't know. It's just a habit I have, and I know you and Ken get really annoyed when I do it. Like especially when Ken used to live with me, and I'd be sitting watching a movie, and he's in the living room doing something, and he's looking up and he's sort of watching it. I just pause it, and I put something else on. And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Will you make your fucking mind up?" It's like, oh, I'm just in the mood for something funny now, or I'm in the mood for some action. I've got like, I'm fickle like a child, basically. But it's fairly common with me as a habit, and it's not going to disappear anytime soon. I've at least got better with it. A lot of the time now that I stop watching a show or doing something is specifically because I've got something to do. But I'm not. It's probably not going to disappear.
I'm the opposite. If I start an episode or a film, I will sit through the whole thing until it's done. Like, I'll have it in mind before I start it. I'll be like, have I got this time to do that? So.
That's what I did on, I think it was last Tuesday or Wednesday, is I had a bunch of time. I think you were out doing something, so I'm like, I don't have to be online. I've got about 2 or 3 hours before it hits like 11 o'clock. I'll just stick on the Imitation Game and I'll watch the whole thing, and it was a really good film.
Mm.
I feel like it does ruin really long films. It really takes you out of the experience if you don't finish the whole thing. But I don't do that with films that I haven't seen. I do it a lot of the times with shows and films I have seen. So, like, I've watched Thor Ragnarok multiple times before. If I watch it and I put it on pause and watch the rest later, it's not going to take me out of the experience because I know the film in and out. I know how it is, I know what it is, I know it's funny, I know like, the action. I'm not going to be taken out of it. But yeah, that's my last.
That's fair.
Habit, and it's also the last thing that wraps us up for the podcast.
Yeah, it does.
It's actually been quite a hefty and long one so far. I think possibly even the longest one.
There's a good chance it is.
We'll have to fucking check, eh?
Oh, well.
But Thank you for listening. And I will say goodbye. Yeah,
goodbye.
Just next time. Please.